Welcome back to Access Houston on 97.9 The Box.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth, welcoming a first-timer on the program. He actually hosts the Community Affairs program on our sister station, Magic 102.1, called Sunday Morning Live. Attorney J. Thomas Smith, who is also an immigration lawyer and an IRS tax defense lawyer who is here to serve you. He has 3 offices, and he's also, as I mentioned, the host of Sunday Morning Live and author of the book, The Secret to a New Life. Good morning, sir, and welcome.
Good morning, KG, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. So we had a meeting, and after the meeting, DACA was on my mind, and I asked you, if you would come on the program to talk about this, since immigration law is your practice. So on September 5th, the program that protects young people who were brought here to the U.S. Illegally as children or came with their families who overstayed their visas, it has been rescinded. And there are many questions about what are going to happen to the DACA beneficiaries. And so Attorney Jeff Sessions said that the deferred action for childhood arrivals, or DACA as we know it, the program is going to end in 6 months. And he said that they're going to give Congress some time to find a legislative solution for these young people. So, well, let's start with the basics first. For those who may not be familiar, what is DACA?
Well, DACA is it's a program that was created by President Barack Obama in 2012 after immigration advocates had lobbied for protections for the young people in the country who were primarily raised here, didn't know anything about their country of origin. They were raised here in the United States, but they had no legal status. So as a consequence, they couldn't get driver's licenses. In some situations, they may not have been able to go to school and get in-state, resident rates. And basically it made, and sometimes they couldn't even get a license to get married because they may not have been able to produce identification. So again, as this was just a number of the many problems that prevented them from getting employment, driver's license, and other benefits of status.
So what sort of protection does DACA provide for these kids?
The main protection it provides is protection from deportation or removal from the United States. Once they are approved for the under DACA, they get a renewable work permit. It's good for 2 years, and every 2 years they would have to reapply, usually within 6 months before the expiration, and they would also get a Social Security number, and of course, for 2 years they will enjoy lawful status within the United States.
And so now this administration wants to roll that back, and they're claiming that former President Barack Obama did this unconstitutionally, that he totally bypassed legislation and did this through the executive orders, which they claim is unconstitutional. When I heard that narrative, Dr. J, I immediately thought to myself, oh, you mean like how 45 did this so-called Muslim ban, huh? So how soon do we forget?
Yeah, too often it's against the rules when it's them, but it's all within the purview of the rules when it's us.
Right.
And of course, obviously, prior presidents had done similar things. But what happened was that the DREAM Act came online back in forgive me, I think it was 2007 when it first was conceived, and they last tried to pass it in 2011, but it seems that they kept trying. They get the support of the Senate, get partial support of the House, or vice versa, but they could never get the job done. So, President Obama became rather frustrated because he knew that something had to be done for these young people. I mean, just their life was in limbo.
Right.
So in an effort to give them some sort of a sense of belonging and some resolutions so that they could get work, they could help support their families, they could, they could go to school and feel comfortable without looking in the rearview mirror every Friday night after 10 o'clock.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
all too well.
So as the frustration grew over repeated failures of Congress to pass the DREAM Act, which would have provided a path to legal citizenship for young immigrants who were brought to the country as children. And so based on that frustration, he said, I'm going to do something. And of course, the hope was, too, that Congress might subsequently do something that would make a more permanent option for these young individuals.
You know, it's so incredibly sad. And to the words of former President Barack Obama, on his extensive Facebook post that he put out when the word got out that this was being rescinded, that it's just cruel, because I'm thinking to myself, these kids, they know no other country but this one. Mm-hmm. So you're going to get rid of this program and you're going to kick them out. Where are they going to go? Yeah. This is all they know.
Absolutely. And it make matters worse. Hopefully it wouldn't happen to any of these young people that are here. But I've had clients who told me, one client who comes to mind is from El Salvador, okay? Mm-hmm. They removed him from the country, but they put him on a plane and flew him into downtown Mexico City and dropped him off. That was it.
That's it.
That was it. He just get out of here. He had to figure a way to get wherever he was going to be going after that point. And then the thing about it is that President Trump did not have to do anything. I mean, it was just the fact that the Texas Attorney General and 9 other attorneys generals were planning to file a lawsuit. And that was kind of the excuse they used for trying to repeal it before the lawsuit kicked in, because some pundits said that they couldn't win, but others said they could. But what would be wrong with let them sue and then let the courts decide? The same thing still could have been done. The legislature would still have had the opportunity to act. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to do it, but it was just perceived to be what it is, a cruel act.
You're listening to Access Houston. We're talking to Dr. J. Thomas Smith about the DACA program. So what are some of the requirements for DACA?
Well, initially, the individual had to be under the age of 30 when the program was launched, mm-hmm. and they had to be brought to the United States before their 16th birthday. Okay. Those were the 2 main requirements. Also, they had to have graduated from high school, or at least get a GED, and of course have no criminal record. Now,
was there some sort of cost that
was
involved?
The costs were pretty nominal, as far as government programs go. It was about $465, $485. It was under $500.
And so that we're clear, are people who are granted, DACA considered residents?
Oh, definitely not. They're not residents at all. They just have a lawful status in the United States. That's the main thing.
As an attorney, and for those, because we have many of our Mexican and Latino families, listeners here on 97.9 The Box. What should they do? What word of advice, encouragement, quick legal advice would you give those that are listening who are, because I'm sure a lot of them are just afraid. I mean, they've got 6 months to try to figure something out. So hopefully, as you said earlier, Congress will do something to kind of combat this. But I mean, it's real. And for this administration to want to break up families is just beyond me.
Yeah, and it's really kind of insensitive in that I don't remember who said it, but some legislator said that they should use these 6 months to prepare to leave the country, which is tragic. Now, those individuals who don't have it, they're obviously just out of luck for right now. Mm-hmm. They'll continue to live as they were living, but of course I'm sure there'll be more anxiety in that, they can be removed if they're apprehended for violating a crime of some sort. However, President Trump did say that they weren't going to actually go after people, but he said a lot of things
that he's walked back on. Like, you can't believe anything he said. I mean, just after when he was down here, you know, said, "Oh, we love the Dreamers."
But here's the thing, and this is the thing I think everybody should understand. Individuals who have already been enrolled in the DACA program, they remain covered until the permit expires. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's assume you got your permit January 1st. So you're good for 2 years. But if your permit expires before this coming March 5th, which will be 6 months from September 5th when they made the announcement, if your permit expires before March 5th, you're eligible to renew for another 2 years, but you've got to apply by October 5. This is September.
Yeah.
We're talking October.
Yeah.
We're
less than a month away.
Yeah. 3 weeks. So you need to get on the stick right away and start applying, get the paperwork done.
As much as you can speak to it personally, what were your thoughts and opinion when all of this was coming down?
Well, you know, I've got, being a talk show host myself and on the radio, I've been in this, I've always tried to remain objective.
Sure. And
try to not put my opinion into things, issues as much as I can, because I don't want to sway people. And of course, you know, I sometimes I think I can be somewhat extreme, but I just feel
right is right and wrong is wrong.
Right. And that's where it is. I just think it's insensitive, it's cold, and it's wrong. Now, I understand folks saying, well, we got to enforce the law. The law needs to be enforced. But yeah, but the law, we're not talking about the law of God, the law of the universe, you know what I'm saying? That in laws that don't change, the sun will always rise in the east and set in the west. We can't change that.
Yeah.
But the law that we now have was man-made, and it was created for the needs of man at the time. So as times change and needs change, we need to change the law. So this is what needs to happen in this situation.
It's so sad. You're listening to Access Houston, talking to Dr. J. Thomas Smith, immigration lawyer. So can you tell us the difference between DACA and the DREAM Act?
Okay, that's a great question. But let me clarify one other thing before we get to that. As I indicated, if your permit expires before March 5th, you got to get on the stick and you got to apply to renew it before October 5th. But if your permit expires after March 5th, you'll not be able to renew, and you could be subject to deportation when your permit expires. So that's the very tragic part of it. Again, the difference between the DACA and the DREAM Act. Now, DACA is different because it doesn't provide a pathway to legal residency or citizenship. Okay. Now, the DREAM Act did. Now, of course, even though it's not the same thing, DACA recipients are still often referred to as dreamers, as a reference to the proposals that's been failing in Congress over and over and over with regard to the DREAM Act, which took place before President Obama took his action and created DACA.
Yeah. I'm sure this question is probably rhetorical, but what was the response from the community over Trump's threat to end this?
It's going on right now. So far, another 15 states' attorneys generals are going to sue the administration, sue the White House for ending it, and in an effort to rescind that order. But there were all kind of immigrant advocates, the clergy, business leaders, including the CEOs of Apple and Microsoft. They put intense pressure on Trump to maintain the DACA program. Excuse me. But despite that pressure, he ended it anyway. And that's what's the heartless and cold part about it, because he knew of the consequences. They were made very plain to him. but he chose to do it anyway. Again, probably trying to keep campaign promises to that slither, that 30% of the population.
Well, his base.
Yeah, that's right.
He's appeasing to his base.
Yes. And again, it wasn't the whole 30% that wanted him to necessarily end the DACA program anyway. But that is the basis upon which he did that, I do believe. And then he takes the Pontius Pilate role and pretend like, hey, it's out of my hands.
It's out of my hand. Congress.
Let Congress do it,
That's how he does business. He wants to just slap his name on things.
Yeah.
Don't have any say-so in the construction or the building or nothing. I'm going to just slap my name on it and get the credit.
Yeah.
And it seems as though this has been his tactic as he has been occupying the White House. So what is going to happen to those who have been granted DACA?
Again, as I stated, they're good as long as they it does not expire before March 5th. I mean, if it expires before March 5th, I mean, they got to really get into emergency mode. If they have more time on it, let's say anything up to 18 months to 2 years, I mean, they got a little time to plan and or at least advocate for a change. I mean, obviously, lobbying the legislators with very, very important work. Call the congressman in your district and just let them know how you feel. Perhaps your church organization, your community leaders, get involved with a group, lend your support, do what you have to do to help get the Congress, the House, to see that this is for the best good of the country.
And if that person, again, if they miss that October deadline,
if they miss that October deadline, I mean, immigration law to me sometimes seem more rigid than other federal laws. But once you miss that date, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. SOL, stone out of luck.
Wow, that is amazing. I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are listening who could have more questions and could use your expertise, your services.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, my website is my email is info@jthomassmithlaw.com, info@jthomassmithlaw.com, and of course the website, jthomassmithlaw.com. My phone number is 713-529-9372, or easier to remember, 713-LAWYER2. I say they've got their lawyer. You need a lawyer too.
Absolutely.
713-LAWYER2.
713-LAWYER2. You have questions for Dr. J. Just a couple of more before we get out of here. How will this affect people's employment status?
Well, in most cases, I mean, this is as long as they've got DACA, they're okay. But once they no longer have a valid employment authorization document, they'll be under, they're going to make less money, okay, because employers are going to take advantage of them. That's just like they were doing before.
I never thought that in my lifetime. I mean, just what a time to be alive.
Yeah.
I mean, really, from 8 great years of hope and change and such social progression. And here we have an administration who wants to roll back I think that he just wants to dismantle the legacy of Barack Obama. Everything that he has done positive, like they just want to tear that down. How dare a black man do all of this stuff?
I've heard that said over and over again, and it seems that he is methodically taking apart everything that President Obama did. And fortunately, hopefully, folks will raise up, let their opinions be known, and speak up. And even though, people have some strong issues about people who may be in the country without documentation, I think if we look at it from the perspective of what if it was somebody we knew,
right,
or somebody in our family, okay?
Right.
And it's not just people from Central America or Mexico. I mean, there are people from around the world that are in this situation,
right?
So it's just so we can get our biases and our prejudices out of the way and just think in terms of what's right
Yeah.
I think that we would have a different perspective. And if you know somebody who's under DACA who is here without documentation, I think that tends to help you humanize it.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to say it's against the law, they're breaking the law when you're looking at everybody globally.
Sure.
But when you've got that one individual, as it is when I got someone in front of me in my office, it's very often my therapist takes over, and but we have to have some empathy. We have to have some compassion for everybody, especially people who are in a situation where they cannot do everything for themselves. In this situation, they need the help of all of us to bring about the highest good for them and for the country as a whole.
Well, Dr. J, I really appreciate your time and you coming on the program to talk about this, because it's so serious and important to me. And if you are Black and you're listening and you're not paying attention or don't care about DACA, you should.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, I've got clients from Jamaica, from Trinidad, the Dominican Republic, even African countries. They're here. They're under DACA, and it's tragic. Oh God!
Especially for here, because Houston, that we have surpassed New York City as the most diverse city in the entire country. As a matter of fact, some New Yorkers who have been, I've met many New Yorkers who have moved down here, and according to them, who live in different boroughs in New York, they call Houston the New York of the South because of our diversity.
I got my mind blown a couple of Sundays ago. I went to church in Spring, and I stopped by the Walmart over there after I left, and it was just amazing. There were so many cultural groups and people wearing their clothing of their country, but it was just so diverse. Even non-colored people, you still had people from different Slavic countries and the like. It was just amazing. You hear the different accents and so forth.
I tell my friends and my family, I was like, when you come here to Houston to visit, like, just don't assume that everybody is the same as you are there. American. Like, no, you will not know what they are until they open their mouth, until they open their mouths to speak. Yeah. But again, thank you, Dr. J. If you have any questions for him, you can email him info@jthomassmithlaw.com. That's info@jthomassmithlaw.com. And his number is very easy to remember, 713-LAWYER-2.
And I know you only have seconds left, but I just want to throw this in. Even if you don't fit on the DACA, there may be some other relief that you're entitled to, but we can only find that out by questioning.
Indeed. Okay? Man. Thank you so much, Dr. J. Thomas Smith. Catch him this morning. Are you on this morning?
Oh, no, I'll be on next week.
Next Sunday. Well, next Sunday on our sister station, Magic 102.1, Dr. J. Thomas Smith, host of Sunday Morning Live. Sir, thank you so much.
And thank you. And thank you to your audience. We appreciate you.
And thank you for listening to Access Houston.